I mean,
President, why did you decide to come? You didn't have to.
You don't have to, because this trial is a rigged trial. It's a fraudulent trial. The Attorney General is a fraud, and we have to expose her as that. You see what's going on? It's a rigged deal. And frankly, you saw what was just put out about Schumer and the principal clerk. That is disgraceful.
Speaker McCarthy, should he...
That was Donald Trump leaving the courtroom on day 2 of the New York Attorney General civil fraud trial, where Donald Trump is a civil defendant. Donald Trump was shortly thereafter reprimanded for what he said and what he posted on his social media platform while testimony was being taken by one of the first witnesses, Donald Bender, Donald Trump's former outside accountant from the Meiselas firm. Donald Trump, during the trial itself, posted a deranged and defamatory conspiracy about the presiding judge, Judge Engoron's law clerk, saying that this is Chuck Schumer's girlfriend, and then posting Judge Engoron's law clerk's Instagram account so Trump's followers could attack her. That led to a gag order in the proceeding. Donald Trump was called into Judge Engoron's chambers. He was reprimanded for his conduct. He took down the post, and this was only day 2 of trial, folks, and day 2 was supposed to be relatively boring. I mean, you had Donald Bender was supposed to give testimony all day. The proceedings got derailed because Donald Trump could not conduct himself like a normal litigant and engaged in these threats, causing chaos in the courtroom. Earlier in the day, Donald Trump was told by Judge Engoron that his interpretation of the statute of limitations, Trump's, was completely wrong. You may recall that after the first day of trial, Donald Trump, after attacking Judge Engoron over and over again, said, actually, Judge Engoron made a pretty positive ruling and ruled that 80% of the case against me has now been dismissed by reversing himself on the statute of limitations. And what did I say here? That's not what Judge Engoron did at all. First, let me show you what Donald Trump said at the end of day 1, and then let me show you what Judge Engoron said at the beginning of day 2 of trial. Here's what Donald Trump claimed Judge Engoron did. Play this clip.
Well, I think that was very good. That last 5 minutes was outstanding because the judge essentially conceded that the statute of limitations that we won at the Court of Appeals is in effect. Therefore, about 80% of the case is over. I was going to come out and say that, as you know, we're not entitled to a jury, which is pretty unusual in the United States of America. So we think it's very unfair that I don't have a jury, but the judge's last statement was very fair, and if I read it right, I'll let perhaps one of the lawyers speak to it. But Cliff, maybe you'll speak to it if you would. But the way I interpret that, and the way everyone else in the room seems to interpret that, is that the statute of limitations is a very real thing in this country.
Also, it should be noted, Donald Trump was the one who waived the jury trial. You heard him say that in the clip because he didn't check the box asking for a jury trial. But Judge Engoron did not dismiss 80% of the case. There was an appellate decision that was reached back in June where Ivanka was dismissed. It's very clear what the statute of limitations are. It's a 6-year statute of limitations, and then Judge Engoron on day 2 of trial made it clear if a fraudulent representation was made during the period of the statute of limitations, the new statute of limitations starts running from the date of the fraudulent representation. It's not when a loan transaction closed. That makes no sense. It's when the fraud using the loan transaction was committed for purposes of the statute of limitations. So no, the entire case against Donald Trump remains for hundreds of millions of dollars and even potentially billions of dollars. And also, the judge had already ruled last week, finding partial summary judgment against Donald Trump, canceling his LLCs and ordering the dissolution of the Trump organization. So the day started with Donald Trump being told, you're wrong. the statute of limitations is not dismissing 80% of the case. The case still remains, and all the right-wing media propaganda that bought into it, totally false, total lie, but that's to be expected when it comes to Donald Trump. So then you had Donald Bender, Trump's outside accountant, started testifying, and the New York Attorney General's office went through the financials and showed all of the fraudulent valuations that Trump was making, that Meiselas was not validating any of these or saying any of these were accurate at all. And Donald Bender actually said on numerous occasions he told someone at the Trump organization that the statements were not accurate, but they didn't change it. Then you had, right before lunch break, Donald Trump posted all of those messages about Judge Engoron's law clerk that I mentioned earlier in this video, attacking her, calling her Schumer's girlfriend, which is totally false, posting her Instagram account. Donald Trump then went in the hallway to give it full context, and I showed this at the beginning of the video, but here's what Donald Trump said. Play this clip.
Why did you decide to come? You didn't have to.
I don't have to, because this trial is a rigged trial. It's a fraudulent trial. The Attorney General is a fraud, and we have to expose her as that. You see what's going on? It's a rigged deal. And frankly, you saw what was just put out about Schumer and the principal clerk. That is disgraceful.
Speaker McCarthy, should he...
Then Donald Trump also said this. Donald Trump said that that his worthless clause means that people shouldn't rely on him. Play this clip.
There's absolutely no fraud. They all made money. They're all happy. 100% happy. And I think very importantly is everything, many, many warnings. Page 1, page 2, and many pages. It says, please, you must understand that you have to do your own due diligence, and you have to, above all, do your own research and analysis. Do not rely on anything. Do not rely on the financial statements. Also, the financial statements are very strong in terms of cash, liquidity, and everything else. This case is a scam. There can't be fraud when you've told institutions to do their own work. This case is a fraud, and it's a scam. Thank you very much.
Why is it Why is it a scam? Why is it a scam?
All righty, so that was quick.
And then Donald Trump was summoned back into the courtroom. Donald Trump's lawyers were summoned back in the courtroom, told to go into chambers, where Donald Trump was confronted with the post that he just made. Then Judge Engoron came out, issued a gag order on Donald Trump. There was some additional testimony that was taken, but a lot of the day was consumed based on Donald Trump's threats. There's going to be more testimony from Bender and others throughout the week. And here's what we can expect as well, though, as Donald Trump set to testify, Alan Weisselberg set to testify, Don Jr. set to testify, Eric Trump set to testify, Michael Cohen, my co-host, is set to testify. Here's going to be, I think, the highlights of their testimony over the next week or so. So let me show it to you right here. Here is Donald Trump saying he doesn't know generally accepted accounting principles because his CFO, Alan Weisselberg, does. Play the clip.
To meet your obligation here of presenting the information in accordance with GAAP, was Alan Weisselberg responsible for that?
Object to the form.
I would say yes.
Here's Donald Trump's CFO, Alan Weisselberg, who says he's not a CPA and doesn't know how generally accepted accounting principles work. Play the clip.
If I said the phrase GAAP, GAAP, are you familiar with that acronym?
I've heard of that, yes.
Okay. Tell me everything you know about GAAP. What is GAAP?
Generally accepted accounting principles. I don't know what's in GAAP. I never took the CPA exam.
Okay.
And never studied for it. So I don't know all the various components of what GAAP is.
Are there any components you know about what GAAP is?
Not really.
Okay.
No.
Here is Don Jr. saying that he just knows that generally accepted accounting principles are generally accepted. Play the clip.
Do you have any familiarity with an acronym GAAP, G-A-A-P?
Generally accepted accounting principles, yes.
Okay. How did you become familiar with that acronym?
Probably an accounting 101 at Wharton.
Okay. What do they teach you about generally accepted accounting principles in Wharton?
Well, I'm not an accountant, but that they are generally accepted.
Anything else?
That's pretty much what I remember from accounting 101. So.
Have you told me everything you know about GAAP?
Basically, I'm sure I could come up with some creative stuff to kill time, but I'd be doing neither of us a favor in terms of educating ourselves.
Here's Eric Trump, who Donald Trump says was responsible for the statement of financial conditions, saying that he does not know anything about the statement of financial conditions. Play the clip.
I don't remember a video conference in 2021 talking about the statement of financial condition. Did I mean, maybe you could show me something, but again, I don't think I ever signed a statement of financial condition. I don't, I've done a lot to try and jog my memory, and I simply can't, because I don't think I've ever had any involvement in the statement of financial condition, to the best of my knowledge.
And here's Michael Cohen, who testified that he and Alan Weisselberg were told, here's what I want the valuation to be by Donald Trump, and then they would just basically come up with and kind of assign values to things to reach the number that Donald Trump ultimately wanted. Here, play that clip.
Trump organization value that asset for the SOFC?
For what year?
2000. I mean, it's a general question. It's frankly not per year. It's okay. They have a process. What was the process?
The goal was to use each of the assets and increase its value in order to get to the end result number. It was basically backing in numbers to each of the asset classes in order to attain the number that Mr. Trump wanted.
Okay.
So that's what we can expect over the next week, but you see how disastrous this is for Donald Trump. You see him lashing out. You see his behavior so unhinged. And what's so interesting about this as well is that we knew that the criminal cases against Donald Trump were going to be very important for holding him accountable, but this civil case seems to be functioning with far more authority and even far more getting under Donald Trump's skin than any of these other cases, but it also is that this is the one that's going now, and you actually hold Donald Trump accountable, and this is what goes down. So tell me what you think in the comments below. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 2 million subscribers thanks to your support. Check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch, and have a great day.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.